Hey guys, it's Mike here, and in this video, I'm going to be discussing a topic that is going to be another segment I'm bringing you here today on Dragon Ball Z, which is going to have to do with Kid Buu, the main villain, well, the final version of him, from the Buu saga, and more particularly a question that fans have pondered and speculated and really debated about for a very long time now, which is, why did Kid Buu push back the Spirit Bomb? Was it a matter of strength, of his type of energy, or something else entirely? I'm going to break that down in this video. But before I begin, if you're new here or you like this content, I would say subscribe and enable notification. It helps this channel to grow, to be seen by you, because sometimes my videos, they kind of disappear off the face of the earth, or the Kai plan in this case, when YouTube decides not to promote them anymore. So in order to make sure you always see my content right away when it comes out, subscribe and enable those notifications. But with that being said, let's take a closer look at this subject and find out. There's a throwback to my my old school videos when I used to say that. So in the Buu saga of Dragon Ball Z, when Goku was going to defeat Kid Buu, what we ended up seeing was that he had charged up the Spirit Bomb, the Genki Dama, with the energy of all of his friends, family, the people of the earth, and also some of the people from the afterlife, like King Yama and company. And this is when he decided to unleash it upon Majin Buu, throwing it down at him. And what happened? Well, we initially expected this to hit him and, well, vaporize him, or at least seriously harm him, like it did the other characters who were hit with it, at least dealing some damage. But instead, Kid Buu did something that none of the others could do up until this time, which is he actually stopped it dead in its tracks, pushing it further and further back against Goku. But why exactly did this happen? Now, Vegeta here, in this translation, alludes to Goku's not being able to do it because of weakness. And I'll get into that a little bit soon, but let's take a look at some of the other explanations as to why people think this might have been the case before that. For example, with regard to Buu himself, the target of this energy. Now, one theory that many people have is that Kid Buu is, well, pure evil. In other words, he is the pure Akubu. And thus, when Goku tries to throw the energy at him, because Kid Buu is technically pure, just in the different sense of the word, it would not affect him immediately. He would be able to repel it, to push it back, just like we saw another character do so earlier on in the story, the first time that Goku used the Spirit Bomb against, well, Vegeta, the guy we see here on the ground. Wait, Vegeta being beaten down by a villain? That's Vegeta's technique. But anyway, let's see what we're talking about. This goes back to when Goku gave Krillin the Spirit Bomb, or at least the half energy remaining from it. Because when Vegeta was in Ozaru, he attacked Goku and made him drop half that energy. Now, this is what happens when Vegeta is fighting against Gohan. Krillin is able to control this energy, turning into a ball, and then throws it at Vegeta. Of course, because Yajirobe has to be, well, Yajirobe, he ended up letting Vegeta in on what was happening. And then Krillin throws the ball right at him. Of course, he jumps right over it, much like when Krillin was going to throw the Destructo Disc at him. It's kind of a replay, a time echo in a sense. I talked about time echoes in Dragon Ball in the top right corner in that video, the description, and on my channel under recommended videos on the front page. However, Gohan was able to deflect it. So why was Gohan able to deflect it here? After all, it looked like it was right about to kill him, and that would have been a very kind of funny twist in a sense. Well, what does Goku say right here? He says, "Bounce it back, Gohan, it's friendly fire. You should be able to repel it as long as you don't have an evil key." So Gohan pushes his hands out, bounce and hits Vegeta square in some part of his body. You know, it looks like it's gonna hit him right in the face, but you know, either way, hits him, and then, you know, it doesn't actually kill him. Even though this was half the energy that was supposedly going to defeat and kill Ozaru Vegeta, who is 10 times stronger than Vegeta at his full power, and, you know, way stronger than this version of Vegeta for sure after he got his tail cut off. Either way, it did not work. It was not very effective. You know, like Geodude using self-destruct against a Graveler, or, you know, something like that. Either way, the fact of the matter is it didn't work. But again, look at what Goku says here. He says that it would not work against Gohan because he had no evil ki. Now, of course, Buu, well, he has quite the opposite here. He has pure evil ki. He is pure evil, well, embodied in a sense, you know, aside from Janemba, in which he is able to, well, obviously be the target here. But maybe another thing comes down to, well, the target itself. After all, when Krillin was given the Spirit Bomb by Goku, what does he say? He says that he needs to target this type of energy. King Kai goes even further and explains exactly how this works. He says the Genki Dama isn't something you aim with your eyes. You must sense out his evil presence before you launch it. And Krillin, well, he aims exactly for this evil presence, the evil energy that he's sensing from Vegeta when he throws it out. He senses it, he locks onto it, he gets it, and that's when he throws it. So, of course, Gohan has the inverse, the opposite of this, which is why he can bounce it back. Again, this doesn't apply to the Kid Buu situation. Kid Buu is evil, and Goku is specifically targeting his evil energy. And thus, when he goes to throw it at Buu, it should automatically hit him and be effective. But it's not. It doesn't detonate, it doesn't explode like it did with Vegeta. Another interesting point to make is that Vegeta, while he's in the way, and Goku says that he needs to get out of the way for Goku to throw the attack. And as a result, Mr. Satan has to grab him and run away. But if Vegeta is not, well, the evil ki that's being targeted here, after all, he got wished back and doesn't have a halo anymore because the dragon said that he is good. Well, why did he need to get out of the way? Wouldn't he have, you know, been able to bounce it back, or at least not be affected by the explosion or the attack at all? Because the fact that we had just established that it wasn't the target of the energy right here? That's particularly interesting. Now, another thing to keep in mind here, too, is the fact that with regard to Buu, of course, he has a great amount of power on his hands. He is incredibly strong. Now, many people will use the fact that he's pushing back the Spirit Bomb here in order to say that he is, in fact, even the manga, the most powerful Buu. Now, I've talked about a number of times in videos in the past, including the strength of Super Buu, you could see in the top right corner, who the strongest Buu really is here. But I don't think that this is really a matter of strength, as many people make it out to be. Because after all, this is Kid Buu fighting back against base Goku. And the second that Goku becomes a Super Saiyan, he's able to, well, immediately overwhelm Buu, who is way more powerful than just Super Saiyan Goku, and push the attack back and vaporize him. Additionally, another thing to keep in mind is that when people are donating energy to the Spirit Bomb, the Genki Dama, we see that Gohan, Goten, Trunks, and Piccolo, as well as all the other characters that are friends of Goku, donate their energy. And it only gives this much energy that we could see right here. Of course, all this combined should be stronger than, you know, Kid Buu anyway. These were all the fusion components that were within Buuhan, aside from Fat Buu with the weakening Daikaioshin inside of him. Additionally, another thing is, too, that when everyone else gives their energy to the Spirit Bomb, all the regular humans in Android 17, we also see that the energy is gigantically bigger in many ways, which goes to show you that Genki doesn't work that way. It isn't based on the power level of individuals. Otherwise, it would have been the other way around. The regular humans would have given a really small one, even with giving all the much that they could, whereas the characters like Gohan would have made this much bigger. So again, it's not really a matter of power level here in terms of, well, Kid Buu. However, with that being said, there is something that Vegeta points out here that itself is, well, different than many of the explanations people give, something that I rarely ever hear anyone point out. When Goku throws a spirit bomb at Buu, and it doesn't immediately explode and hit him, what does Vegeta say? He says, Kakarot's too weak to finish the job. Of course, this is in this translation. In the Viz translation, for example, it says that Kakarot cannot unleash the Genki Dama. He cannot detonate the explosion. This is to say that Goku has so little energy here at this point in time that even though the Spirit Bomb would be powerful enough to kill Kid Buu right here and now, if it hit him and detonated, it is somehow Goku's ability to detonate it in the first place that would render it, well, unable to effectively kill him, unless he's able to do that. But when we look at other examples of this in the past as well, does this really make sense in universe? Let's take a look at that. Now, first off, we have Krillin throwing the Spirit Bomb at Vegeta. Now, at no point does King Kai or Goku say to him that he needs to detonate this explosion. Furthermore, when Gohan bounces it back and then it hits Vegeta, the second it hits Vegeta, it explodes, it detonates. But who's the one who's doing this? Like, who, if somebody has to detonate this, who's doing it? Is it Goku, who's borderline paralyzed on the ground? His body's broken, battered, and beaten. He's unable to do anything at all. As you can see right here, when Krillin grabs his arm, it's like broken, and he doesn't even have like any energy really left within him other than this attack and whatever is keeping him alive. Is it Krillin, who wasn't explained that he needs to be the one to do it, and who the Spirit Bomb is not even in his control anymore? He's not the one throwing it anymore because Gohan deflects it? Or is it Gohan somehow detonating it? Doesn't really make any sense because Gohan doesn't even know what this attack is. And as we see Goku here says, when he gives the power to Krillin, don't let it overwhelm you. Gohan can't control this type of ki. We have another example too, with regard to Frieza. Goku throws the Spirit Bomb at Frieza. Now, he's targeting Frieza and is evil, and Frieza tries to push it back, but he can't really resist it, right? He keeps getting pushed down further and further and further until eventually gets consumed within it and explodes and deals some damage to him. Now, again, does Goku have to detonate this? I mean, he jumps out of the way and tells everyone to get down. It just seems like it happens on its own automatically. Furthermore, Goku probably has way less energy here than he did when he was fighting against Kid Buu, or at very least a similar amount. His body's in worse condition. The reason for that is because of this. Goku, when he was fighting against Frieza, he was already using all of the power that he really had at this time, Kaioken times 10, and, going hard. He was getting beaten up. Then he whipped out a Kaioken times 20. As he says right here, he didn't think his body would really be able to handle it, but he has nothing else left to give. So he gave times 20, fired it up, and used the Kamehameha at full power, which Frieza negated with his 50%. At that point, Goku says, when he goes back down to start fighting against Frieza, you can see he's huffing and puffing, he could barely stand, and then Goku points out that he used up a lot of power and the Kaioken was too much for him. Just like when he was using the Kaioken against Vegeta in their initial fight, going this far above and beyond was too much for his body to handle, which is why he used the Spirit Bomb, the Genki Dama. But again, there's nothing that indicates that when he throws it, he has to detonate it. So this kind of raises yet another question. It's like, what exactly is happening here then? Because like I pointed out, when Goku becomes a Super Saiyan, when he gets his energy restored to him by Purunga, he's able to then utilize it to, well, make the spirit bomb explode. The second that he's able to put any real energy into pushing it back, it overwhelms Kid Buu, and then he blows it up, as we could see here with this scene right here. Maybe it's just a matter of him pushing it as hard as he could and overwhelming the power of Kid Buu at the time during this, but either way, this is what eventually wins the day. Now, interestingly, even though Goku did just have his energy restored, we do see that when he drops to the ground, he does still seem to be quite tired. But this could be a matter of his physical condition at the time. He did get a big, brutal beating, and he wasn't fully healed. He just had his energy given back to him. So it does seem, when we're looking at the evidence, to come down really to this. Goku was out of energy, and Kid Buu obviously wasn't. It seems like Kid Buu basically has infinite stamina, unless he's fighting another Buu, which could be argued to be some sort of weakening aspect for him, as it's pointed out when he was fighting against Fat Buu earlier. And then when Goku is able to, throw it at him, he can't detonate it. He doesn't have any energy left. But the second he's given the energy given the energy back, he is in turn able to detonate it. So perhaps we can make the argument in this case that somehow the Super Saiyan 3 depleted Goku's energy to such an extent that somehow he still had even less energy in stock or in store than he had when he threw the spirit bomb at Frieza and, I guess, somehow Vegeta. Maybe you could say that Goku lends an initial additional little bit of energy when he casts the spirit bomb at an enemy that will cause it to auto-detonate, let's say, when it reaches its target. Or perhaps you could say that for some reason the spirit bomb that he used against Kid Buu itself was something that he needed an additional little bit of energy to push and to overwhelm. Maybe you can again try and headcanon it to say that he was so strong, Kid Buu, that Goku did need an additional little burst of energy to completely overwhelm his defenses and detonate it. But the idea that he was pure evil and that's how he resisted it, or it was this or that, doesn't really seem to be supported by the evidence in the story. Rather, it seems like Toriyama kind of just contrived or created some sort of additional stipulation to give another, this happens, but then in order to add further conflict and further cause further drama in the conclusion of the story. And ultimately, through the help of the Dragon Balls and humanity, the ending was able to come about. And so Toriyama kind of, went around the overall in-universe narrative and mechanics in order to tell a narrative and a story that might not necessarily fit with the other versions of this happening, but at the end of the day told the idea that he was trying to go for. So what do you guys think? Do you think that this was a result of one of the different theories I mentioned along the way, Goku not having enough energy to detonate the spirit bomb, or something else entirely? Let me know down below in the comments. Make sure to subscribe, enable notifications if you want to keep seeing my videos right away when they come out. And with that being said, stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
Yeah, and you better subscribe.